So it's all done and dusted. Sam, pay attention. Sorry. It's all done and dusted. And a long time ago, before the season started, we did this. We did our Prem predictors and decided where people were going to go before a ball was kicked in the Premier League this season. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have an end of season review, talking about the teams, the expectations that we kind of had on them and how it came to be. And we're going to kick off with 20th to 13th. So still to come, this is a trilogy. We'll have 12th to 6th and then the top 5. Sam, you might need to leave for the last one.
Mate. Oh! That's right, I'm in Champions League, so...
yeah, in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Did we do this blindfolded?
We didn't do it blindfolded.
You would
so
think
there was a lot of conscious choice went into this board.
So this morning I went and watched these videos, and they are good videos. They stand the test of time, actually, lads. Yeah, Louis, you weren't there, so you're safe, aren't you?
I'm relatively safe because
Yeah.
I did the prediction for Chelsea, but
Yes.
then we kind of overshot, so I'm happy. So I'm fine.
Yeah, so everything's fine with you. So right, let's start with 20th. We put Hull City 20th. That made sense. That did make
They
sense.
had 12 senior players at the start of the season? So the fact that Marco Silva nearly, until they collapsed in the last couple of weeks, was it the Crystal Palace game that sent them down, wasn't it?
But it was they lost 2-0 to Sunderland, I think, the week before, didn't they? And Sunderland were done, and then they went and got tonked by Palace. I think it was 4-0 or something, and it was those 2 games. Look, does anyone remember Steve Bruce? He was their manager, you know, a week before the season. He goes, doesn't he? Because they've got 6 players or whatever it is, 12 or whatever, and you know, I think they were nailed on. I'm surprised they did as well as they did. You know, Mike Phelan goes in, did all right. Not terrible.
They became the 3rd team to be top of the table at one point and finish bottom.
The sort of stat you don't want in history.
No, you don't. But like you
They
say,
were top of the
started
table
well.
for longer than Tottenham.
Than Tottenham, yeah, they did. They finished. Yeah, they had spent more days at the top of the table than Tottenham. Yeah, which what's going to be interesting about?
Did they put the pressure on?
That's not here to defend himself, Chris. You can't say things like that.
That's exactly why you're saying things like that.
What's going to be what I found really interesting about this whole thing? Yeah, okay, we didn't get many right. We got 1 right, which we'll reveal at some
Didn't
point.
get many.
You'll probably figure out
1.
yourself. But what it does show is how
we don't know anything.
No, it shows that the expectations of a team. It doesn't always work out that way. And so what is weird with Hull City is we had them rock bottom, no chance, game over.
Right.
In terms of the feeling towards Hull City fans, I'd imagine, and any other team's fans, you actually feel like they've done okay.
They have.
They've had an all right season.
I kind of feel
bizarrely.
sorry for them because I thought they would stay up, and I thought it was Swansea that were going to drop into it. Because I thought Marco Silva's he was so good. I was like, he's going to keep him up. He's going to perform a miracle. And then they went down, and it was like, oh, right, okay. It was kind of like a massive anti-climax because you had the whole story of Marco Silva coming in, and then we're going to stay up, we're going to do fine, we're going to be okay. And then it's like, okay, you dropped down, right, sick, okay. Back normal business resumes, and then it's like, yeah.
Tell you what, right, Watford have done well because I thought Marco Silva was going Porto back to Portugal, and then Watford have now snapped him up. And seeing as how well he played towards the end of the season here with Hull, if they can start like that at Watford, I think Watford's got a better squad. They've definitely got more than 12 players. They're in a good position for next season.
I think the way that Watford are run, our predictions, you can pick it up and put it on the next season each time. You're going to have a feeling that they're going to struggle each season because of the instability that they have as a club. But for them, it was a season of mission accomplished. Like we had them 18th. We thought it wasn't going to work out. It was going to be too much flexibility in all the decisions that they make. But they finished 1 above that, and they made it, and they stayed up. I don't know how sustainable that is, but saying that, they've had probably the 2nd best era in Watford's entire history.
This is a side that, look, they finished 1 place outside the relegation zone, but
They were safe.
They were safe. I think they lost the last 6 games of the season.
Yeah.
Mazzari really lost the dressing room quite early on this season, but they weren't really dragged into it. I don't think they're as bad as where they finished, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I think with the right manager and a couple of key acquisitions, they can be back up to the 10th to 14th spots with no problems.
Yeah. What is a problem for Watford is the fact that I think the players knew he was off.
Yeah.
And so they do stop because they're like, what's the point? We'll wait for the next guy and then we'll try because we are safe.
Yeah.
That sooner or later that's going to get you in trouble, isn't it? Surely.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're supposed to be professionals, aren't they? But clearly these type of decisions from higher up the club always affect them. You can see that all the time. Going back onto Liverpool, we played West Ham. They sent 2 players who'd been playing through injuries. We played West Ham near the end of the season. I think Noble and someone else went off to get an operation after they beat Tottenham. We
It sends
knew
a
they
message.
were on the beach.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's what happens, and that's exactly what happened with that Watford squad.
That's a good point. That's something we should probably keep in mind for a lot of them. Is that
The season
there are blocks of the season, isn't there? And that last block, once you are safe and it doesn't look like you're going to do much else, can affect it. One team that completely exceeded expectations. One of the teams of the season, not in terms of like flamboyant football, but getting the job done.
Yeah.
It's got to be Burnley. We had them down as 19th, finished 16th, safe throughout. No,
They weren't in the
drama.
relegation battle, were
They're
they?
fine.
No.
never.
I think Sean Dyche. You said this in our Premier League, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You said it's about Sean Dyche. He's been there. He's been there for years. He's got the squad, the players that he wants, and those players buy into the way that he wants them to play, and he's done it.
Well, they say for teams in the lower half of the table, the ones that are going to be battling relegation going into the season, that your home form is where, if you can win your home games, you will stay up. And their home form was fantastic this season. I think they had like maybe 10 wins.
10 wins in 19 games.
Yeah, I mean, they beat Chelsea. They beat Chelsea.
No,
there.
they drew 1-1 with us, but that was the place that I was most worried about going, because they are so solid, and the way they play, like James said, they just get the job done. And the Ginger Mourinho has completely, he's done so well, and I think, you know, we were very harsh, but you know he's
Really
he's,
though?
I
Were
think
we?
so.
Because what, they're playing around with the squad that's probably the least expensive of all the sides in the Premier League. They pay the least in wages. You know, historically.
Give me an exciting name that plays for Burnley.
No,
And
give me
that's
a minute.
not an insult at Burnley. That shows that they've done great. And I tell you what,
They're
Burnley
a
could
team
be a
that's more,
Stoke.
they're a
Yeah, fair
team that's
play.
more than the sum of their parts, and that is in large down to Sean Dyche. He's done an amazing job, and those players have done well for him as well. But you know, the fact of the matter is, I think they probably at the start of the season all thought they were going to go down. The fact that they've come out of it is a testament to the team and the manager.
That's a good point. If that's your starting point of like, right, this is going to be tough, but we're in it together, then you can kind of not panic. Just keep
Yeah,
going.
you're saying that, but David Moyes, about 7 weeks into the season, said we're in a relegation battle.
Well, yeah, we will get to it. We will get there, don't worry. Swansea, Llorente, 15 goals this season. I think he secured them 13 points from his goals, which I think after Diego
Second to
Costa,
Costa,
is amazing. He was crucial, and I said Llorente is not that guy. He's not going to get you. I think I said he's not going to get you 15 goals. I think I might have said literally that. But he did it. He did it for them, and they finished 15th in the end. But overall, a ridiculous season for them. But if they can stick, will they stick with Clement, or will they go, oh, it's November, it's not really working out, let's roll the dice again?
I'd stick with Clement. I think Clement's sort of proven a point where he didn't have such a great spell at Derby, and he's gone to Swansea, and he's kind of he's I reckon if he doesn't stay, he's going to be that manager where if you're in a relegation battle, you're going to go to. So it's going to be like your Pulis, your Allardyce. He'll replace Allardyce because Allardyce is retiring. But I think he should be given time to implement what he knows. Because, I mean, being a number 2 to Carlo Ancelotti at Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, when we won the double, you know, he knows his stuff.
Yeah.
And I just think he should be given time to implement his knowledge onto that team. And I think he is a good manager, and he's gone out and proved it.
At the end of it all, if you're a Swansea fan, they haven't gone down, and the future looks. I think the future looks quite bright with him. He's a manager who, because he's been at those top clubs, he probably understands the transition from being a team down the bottom to moving up the leagues and how many players you're going to need.
I don't really think there's any manager. So was it Gary Monk was the manager at the start of last season? Was he?
No, it's Gwydlin. So that was the season before.
That's a really hard thing, right? If you try and name the managers that are at these clubs at the start of the season, it's really quite hard to do. But I don't think any manager down there is going to be safe come November, because they're very prone to reacting a little bit quicker than the teams above because of the threat of relegation.
Yeah.
But Clement did a great job. And it was just like, they come up with the goods at the end of the season, so did Crystal Palace. Other teams didn't. But the fact they didn't crumble, and Llorente, as you say, came up with the goals. Goals save you, man.
Yeah.
That's what you need. You need points.
West Brom, with the big thing for this, so Tony Pulis was he had the shortest odds to be the first person to be sacked at the start of last season. And so that's why we kind of put them down there, because you know what you're going to get with Pulis. He's going to keep you up, but if he goes, which he did at Palace a couple of years before that, then they could have been in trouble. But he's not only stayed and stuck around, he's finished as 10th, I think, And like you were saying earlier, I think they've got 2 wins out of the last 11 or something like that. They've had a great season.
Yeah. I mean, they were on for 8th pretty much all season long, weren't they? You know, the thing that you know what you're going to get with Tony Pulis, you're going to get a solid defence, you're going to get goals from set pieces. I think they scored nearly 46-47% of their goals from set pieces this season, conceded the fewest as a percentage out of every team in the Premier League from set pieces. So they're a well-coached side, and I think the difference between what we're talking 8th and maybe 16th was about 6 points this season.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's absolutely crazy. You'll get the same from West Brom next season. They're an experienced side. They've got the oldest average team in the Premier League. I think it's like 29 years or something. These guys know how Tony Pulis works. They know what type of a game plan he wants to come up with. And he'll do the same next season, and he'll do it the season after, because he's a very good coach who spends time training on the things that he thinks can make a difference to his side. You know, Liverpool probably don't spend a lot of time training on set pieces. We probably should, but it's a cost for, you know, your general play, you know, your passing routines and stuff like that. West Brom give the time that's necessary to set pieces, and they score goals and they get points because of it, and that's ultimately why I think they'll stay up again.
I don't think they'll struggle at all to stay up, but I think what you're talking about there is managing the expectations of your side, because if you're happy for your club to finish between, say, 8th and 13th every single season, then someone like Tony Pulis is absolutely perfect. But Stoke City have tried to implement that flair into the team, and it hasn't really worked out for them. And maybe they would hark back towards the days where because I think Stoke slightly underperformed this season, given the squad they had, and West Brom have definitely had a better season. So maybe it's that difficult to make that transition from being a Tony Pulis type team that doesn't have much flair, and introducing flair into it without losing the quality and the importance of the coaching and the set pieces. It's hard to make that transition, which Stoke have struggled with, but West Brom may go through, but probably not under Pulis.
Well, I think this summer's a massive summer for them, because there's a new formula that no one's ever tried with Pulis, is give him a load of money. You know, and they should be able to do that now with the Chinese owners that they've got. They've said that they're going to spend big in the summer, and if they do, and he gets those players, when you've got those safe core players of Fletcher and Evans, Foster in goal, I like Rondon as well, then you've got the start of something decent there.
Look, Mourinho's proved that if you spend a load of money and you get them to play defensive, you can get to 6th in the table. So why not West Brom?
Yeah.
Looking forward. Not hungry. Don't fancy biting.
Prem predictors. Next season you can have West Brom 6. Right. Crystal Palace. Mixed bag for them. Ultimately, we were saying with Swansea how it ended. You're excited. You're looking forward to it. With Allardyce leaving, they're in a weird place. That's definitely been a disappointing season for Crystal Palace. I think
they severely underperformed, in my opinion. Because I think when we did these predictions, they still hadn't bought all their players. So I mean, you had Remy.
They didn't have Benteke at that point. Yeah.
You know, there are players there where if you look at Benteke, is a good striker. You know, he may be slightly lazy, but he scores goals. Remy, if he's not injured, will do exactly the same thing. Cabaye, you know, they've got really good players in that team, and they shouldn't have finished where they did. For me, I felt they could have been top half, but it's the fact that they severely underperformed. There must have been something just
the home
not
form
working
was
out.
really, really bad. I think 3rd worst in the league.
Yeah.
Didn't Pardew lose like 8 out of the first 10 games or something like that? I mean, they were
he was on like some ridiculous run without, United had gone on the magical 25-26 game unbeaten streak. They had the opposite, where they hadn't won in such a long time, but Pardew still hadn't been sacked.
There, wasn't he?
And it was just Crystal Palace were just stuck in limbo, because you couldn't see him going forward under Pardew, but they just weren't sacking him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the next move is for them, because without Allardyce, you know, we just spoke about Pulis there. You know what you're going to get, and it looked like he might have lost his magic, but you know, the January transfer window brought in Sakho, who did brilliantly for them, and turned it around. They won some massive games. Beat Arsenal. They beat
Chelsea.
They beat us 2-1.
Yeah. So now without him, it's going to be interesting to see how they get on next season.
Well, crucially, it looks like they've held on to Wilfried Zaha without a manager, and he was their inspiration. So fair play to him for committing, because he didn't really work out at United, but this season he came up with the final product, which has really been missing from his game. His decision making was never the best, but it looked like he really improved it this season. If he is there next season, having that star player as somebody that might bring a manager in and will keep the fans excited about going forward. If they lost Zaha and Allardyce, it really wouldn't look good forward. Good.
Deep trouble. Right. We had a bit of a nightmare with the North in our final 2. Which one do you want to go with first? Chris, do you want to tackle Middlesbrough or
Well,
Sunderland?
I think I remember saying that Sunderland would go down.
Wasn't it David Moyes is too good a manager, so he will definitely keep them up? I remember that being sort of along the lines of what you said.
I've had a lot of sleep since then, so I can't remember it precisely. No, look, I thought Sunderland would stay up. I thought David Moyes is too good a manager. How he ended up keeping his job for the entire season is beyond me, because Sunderland have got a track record of just panicking, changing manager and staying up. And it's a thing that's worked for them for years. And why didn't they do it this year?
Because you can't keep doing that.
But they did, and they kept staying up.
To be fair.
So let's go. That's worked every single time. Let's try from bottom to keep our manager. Oh, well, look, you've panicked. You've not kept your manager, and you've gone down. Really, they should have been changing manager.
Maybe. I said so. I'll big myself up before I throw myself under the bus. I said they were going to be right down there. I felt like they'd overperformed for too long, and it becomes exhausting just staying up. It's got to be draining, and to then start again when you just get your head above water. The squad was old and poor. It got older and poorer, and we got that horribly wrong. Hang on. Right. You said so. You and Flav said David Moyes, great manager. They'll be fine. They'll be in 2-3 years' time. I think Chris said they'll be getting 60 points. Right. So
It's all right, play Jack.
on the other side of it. Because they haven't sacked him, they've still got it.
In the Championship, they'll be getting 60 points.
Wow, is that what you meant?
I think
that bit out. I can't believe
their plan, I think, is to do what Newcastle did and keep a good manager in the Championship and try and go up.
So that's my question. Is
they haven't got a good manager.
Is he
not
anymore?
No, it's been too long.
I think he is. I think even though he's quite pragmatic and quite negative, I like David Moyes. I think I have a soft spot for Everton, and I always liked him when he was at Everton, and I've still got a soft spot for him, and I feel he was treated harshly at Man United. I felt he was treated harshly at Real Sociedad, and I think if he keeps Sunderland, he won't bring them up straight away because there's too many problems at that club as a whole.
When Defoe's going, Pickford's going, you need a whole new squad.
And I think the thing is, he brought in players, but he brought in players he knew which were good 10 years ago. That's where he went wrong. That's why when he brought in Pienaar,
didn't he?
and it's like, I think if he is given time and can sort of start to build his own ideology at Sunderland, I think they can come up, but it's going to be a few years yet. They're going to be the team which stays in there but comes up later.
The thing with him though is he put the band back together. The band were crap. That's what he's done wrong. He's brought an Everton band who were terrible.
It was like when he's 17 tried to come back, isn't it?
I mean, they're all like 50 years old and they're terrible. Why did he do that? It's stupid. It's ridiculous.
I think we all backed David Moyes to keep Sunderland up because he was just right. You didn't right. Well done. You got one thing right. But what he showed this season at Sunderland was just a different side to him in the Premier League because he was shy. You know, we all know that. But he was good at Everton, and I thought he was going to bring that mentality to this Sunderland squad. But it went the complete and utter opposite, and he was so defeatist the whole way through. He was so uninspirational as a manager. To play underneath that must have just been very, very hard. And I don't think we're going to see Sunderland in the Premier League for a good number of years. They are not in a good position to come back up because the Championship's getting better and better and better. And as you said, they've tanked and they've now gone off the cliff. It's backfired. I
mean, to be honest, the way that Middlesbrough fans and Sunderland fans laughed at Newcastle last season, the fact that both of them gone down and Newcastle have come up is hilarious. Yeah. Absolutely hilarious.
And yeah, I've got to throw myself under the bus. That was me. I kind of got it under the radar having watched it back. I somehow go, no, they're great, they're good. And I think I maybe knew a tiny bit more than you guys, and you were like, oh, okay, he must know what he's talking about. I didn't. They were bizarre. They kind of just sort of gently floated down.
They were irrelevant.
To the 19th. They
were. It was a bit of a wispy season, wasn't it?
And
they just couldn't score goals.
Yeah, 27 goals in the league, not good enough.
27?
27.
That's bad.
Yeah, the defence was okay, but they just could not score goals. And that's, when you look at Llorente and Swansea and keeping them up, you had a guy who could get you some goals, and they should have with Negredo, and I like Jordan Rhodes as well, but didn't work out. But they'll be strong next year, I think.
It was the way that you made me put 3 of them in my fantasy team at the beginning of the season, and then because I completely forgot about it, I realised what a mistake I'd made. So I mean, Middlesbrough, like you said, they're so solid, but they just didn't score goals. But I mean, with the names that they had, So
Expected
Victor
to
Valdez, Negredo, you know, you look at it, you go, oh yeah, they'll be fine. They'll stay up.
Negredo won't be there next season, will he? They'll have a striker to buy, but the core of that squad is the one that brought them up. So I think they'll still do all right in the Championship.
What's the name of the centre back who did? Was it
Gibson.
He said he's going to stay.
He's going to stay.
He got the England squad, didn't he?
Yeah.
Fair play to him.
He was one of 3 players who played every minute of every game, 3 outfield players this season, along with Aspilicueta.
His dad's the chairman, so he's kind of gone.
Oh.
Come on. Just fucking sign it. So he's sticking around.
All right, Pops.
Right, so that's 13th to 20th. Let us know what you think about your team, if you support one of these teams, or if not, just generally what you think about the teams that went down in our predictions and how horrific they were. Next up, we got 12th to 6th. You can stick around for that one and enjoy that one. You're going to enjoy that one, Chrissy. And then we're going to do 1st to 5th. Lots more to come this week as well. If you haven't seen any of the playoff content, Huddersfield are in the Premier League next year. And we were at the playoff final yesterday with Matt, the owner of Bull Street. It was pretty epic. There was a penalty shootout. You want to watch it. If you want to do that, click on Sam's face. You can do that here. Ding! More importantly, subscribe to Bull Street and check out all the videos this week.